Hey everybody, thanks for checking out this week's episode of My First Sketch at myfirstsketch.com. I'm Josh Hyam. As always, feel free to subscribe to the show on iTunes or on SoundCloud and get it automatically. If you use the Stitcher app, I'm listed there as well. The shows are usually up on YouTube shortly after they're released. You can like the podcast on Facebook at facebook.com/myfirstsketch. My email, very public, very open, josh at myfirstsketch.com. And you can follow me on Twitter at myfirstsketch. I alluded to it on the last episode, but now it's all set, so I can talk about details instead of being vague and cryptic. Philly Sketch Fest will present Philly Sketchfringe on September 15th at the Playground at the Adrienne. There are 3 shows. At 7 p.m., Dog Mountain and House of Solitude with the Mean Wendy Band as a house band. At 8:30 p.m., The Decoy, John and Ian, and The Prince with Mean Wendy Band. And at 10:30 p.m., it is Producer's Choice, and that just so happens to be High Drama and Secret Pants. Yes, the 2 groups that Brian Kelly and Kurt Reedy are involved in, 2 of the producers of Philly Sketch Fest. I don't think that's quite nepotism, but it's pretty close. Tickets for all 3 shows are available at ticketfly.com. But that's a month and a half away, so let's focus on the now. Today's guest is Alexis Howland, currently a member of Cups and a Half and the PHIT house team, Fezziwig. Her first sketch is called Man Bears. Nate Biagiotti plays Specimen 1B45, I play Ranger Jack, and Alexis plays Sharon and reads the visual information. So let's go to the sketch.
Ranger Jack peers through binoculars, observing a bear foraging through a blackberry bush. Ranger Jack holds up a tape recorder to his mouth.
Specimen 1B45 eats blackberries at 2:13 p.m.
The sound of a phone ringing starts coming from Bear.
Specimen 1B45 starts ringing at 2:14 p.m.
Bear stops foraging for berries, pulls out a phone, and fumbles with its claws to answer it.
Specimen 1B45 answers phone at, hey, wait a minute.
Bear pulls off head, revealing a man's head. It's a man in a bear suit. He finally answers the phone.
Lucy, did you pick up my dry cleaning? No? Do you know how bad I smell right now? I've been wearing the same suit for 5 weeks.
Ranger Jack stomps forward with purpose.
Hey you.
Bear looks up, totally surprised.
Oh, shit, Lucy, I'll call you back.
Bear hastily tries to put the phone away. He can't do it fast enough, throws the phone into the bushes behind the log.
God damn it! The union is gonna kill me for this.
Bear puts Bear head on and pretends he doesn't see Ranger Jack. He forages unconvincingly in the blackberry bush.
Hey, who are you? What have you done with 1B45?
Rawr.
Bear paws at the air.
Don't pull that fake bear shit with me. Where's the real bear?
Bear looks behind himself to the right and left. He turns straight towards Ranger Jack, then slowly shrugs, paws up.
Ta-da!
You're not a real bear.
As real as they get, Jack.
How do you know my name?
Bear takes Bear head off again.
I know everything about you, Jack. Park rangers, with all their note-taking skills, are the people most likely to discover our secret. We keep tabs on all of them.
You're crazy.
No, Jack. You're crazy. You think bears are real? How ridiculous.
I wrote my park ranger thesis on the blackberry preferences of black bears. I know everything there is to know about bears.
Every bear you've ever seen has been a man in a bear suit.
But why? Why would grown men all over the world agree to live out their lives in bear suits? That's absurd.
Jack, do you ever get the feeling that lurking just outside your bedroom window is a great evil about to take over the world?
No, not really. I don't know. Maybe?
Do you know what that evil is?
Bears?
No. Bees.
Bees?
Those creepy little aliens are trying to destroy us. And who are the natural enemies of bees?
Wasps.
No, bears. The only thing standing between bees and the downfall of humanity is a secret army of men in bear suits. Bears. Be everywhere, always. Rawr.
Ranger Jack looks confused and introspective, like he's reconsidering every life decision he's ever made. Bear puts on bear head and resumes foraging in the blackberry bush. Sharon, dressed in orange hunting gear, appears from behind a tree. She's aiming a rifle at Bear.
Hey, this is National Park. You can't hunt bears. Also, that one's a person.
You're such an idiot. This is the third time the union sent me to clean up your mess. Bear stands up and takes off his bear head.
Shut up, Sharon. Do you know how hard it is being a bear? I'd never see my family. The suit is hot as balls. And don't even get me started on hibernation.
Sharon rolls her eyes, then turns to Ranger Jack and points the rifle at him. Ranger Jack is wide-eyed. Well, Jack, you've discovered our secret, and now you're a risk to our mission. We can't let you walk away from here. Union rules. Ranger Jack is frozen and doesn't say anything. You have two ways out. In a coffin or in a bear suit.
What she means is either we kill you or you live the rest of your life as a man in a bear suit.
Tears start streaming out of Ranger Jack's eyes.
Oh, man, it's not that bad. Hibernation's all right.
No, it's not that. It's all I've ever dreamed of. Sign me up. I hate bees. Blackout. Hey, Alexis.
Hi.
All right, so tell me about this idea.
So, I'll start off by saying I did actually cheat a little bit. I think this is my second sketch.
How dare you?
I know. I'll leave right now. My first sketch actually, so this was from PHIT's 101 curriculum, and the first one we did was a parody.
Generally, yeah.
And so the parody I did was a commercial, and so it just had one voiceover, and so I thought maybe that wouldn't read so well.
I'm going to thank you for that, because I've learned that those commercial parodies that are mostly visual information and then a voiceover do not work as an audio.
Yeah.
So you can totally skip that one and move to this one.
So this idea, I mean, I on some of the episodes I listen to, people have sort of these like long origin stories for their ideas. But the origin of this is just that bears kind of weird me out, and I think that every bear looks like a man in a bear suit. so
that's enough,
yeah.
I think.
I used to live in Boston, and there was the Boston Film Festival I went to one year, and I went to like a series of shorts, and there was a short comedic film there about a guy who his girlfriend goes running. I think it was Australian. She like goes running like, in the outback or something, like in this like crazy sort of wilderness. I guess it wouldn't be Australia because they probably don't have bears, but somewhere she was running around, and he wants to surprise her in a bear suit for her birthday. Okay. And he like jumps out, and he's in a bear suit, and she freaks out, and she pushes him off a cliff. And then she thinks he's dead. She realizes it's him, but then he stands up and he's okay, and then a hunter shoots him. and I saw that, and I was like, this speaks to how I perceive the world, because I've always thought that all bears look like men in bear suits, and that I would totally foresee that happening.
Has this ever been put up? Have you ever done it on stage? Like,
no, I haven't, because and I know people say, don't hold your things too precious, but I would want like a really convincing bear suit, and I feel like that would cost.
Right, I think
that would cost a lot of money.
Yeah, you can get one that's half decent, but it's still going to be a decent amount of a budget for whatever show you want to do. Like,
right.
Even because there's a sketch that a friend wrote that has a gorilla in it. So for a while, I was looking up prices for gorilla suits, and they're always like $60, $70. I'm like, I don't want to spend money on one joke thing,
Yeah. Did they look good?
I didn't do it. Because I also had another friend who had a gorilla suit, so I was always holding off hope that I could just take his, but then he told me he sold it, so whatever.
What? That's unfair.
If you're in comedy, you should have a closet full of stuff at my disposal all the time.
What I want to find out, I want maybe someone else has a sketch, or maybe a few other people have sketches who need a bear suit.
Right.
And then I would and then I would film this, and maybe we could all rent the bear suit or something.
Right, dude. Like
for a weekend.
Yeah, sounds perfect. I'll write a sketch with a bear suit in it so that we can do this and we can find more people and just knock out 7 sketches in a weekend with one suit. That sounds like a decent plan compared to some other things I've heard. So was this the character? Like, is that still the curriculum? Like, is it parody, character, monologue, or was it just write another sketch? Fish out of water?
Oh, it was Fish Out of Water.
Okay.
Yeah, this was Fish Out of Water.
Okay, I guess that makes sense.
You're better at this than I am. I was like,
I've talked to a lot of people that have gone through the FIT curriculum, like, and I've done it too. So.
Yeah. So this was Fish Out of Water.
Okay. What drives you to do Sketch 101 at FIT? Who did you do? All right, first off, who did you do it with?
So I did it with Matt Schmid.
Okay.
And then just sort of like strange series of events. Then Joe Moore subbed for one of the classes that Matt Schmid did, and then I needed to switch. I needed to do a makeup class, and so I did that with Brian Kelly. Okay. It was kind of nice. I felt like I got like a little sampling of everyone,
like half the whole team there. Yeah.
Yeah, it was really good. So I work a corporate job that I don't really enjoy that much. You probably hear that a lot.
Yeah, that's a common theme for all of us.
Wow, comedians. So I had been kind of unhappy in my job, and 6 months prior, so this was like last January 2016, and maybe 6 months prior to that, a friend of mine was like, "You should do improv."
Okay.
And I was like, "Oh, you think I'm funny, but I'm not funny." And then one night I was at my job, and I was like, "Oh, I'm so unhappy at my work." And I looked up improv classes in Philadelphia, and there was an Improv 101 at FIT starting that night, and I signed up for it.
Like, and legitimately,
like it was starting in 2 hours.
During the workday, haul your way. Like, wow, that's crazy.
So I was just like, it was starting in 2 hours or something like that, and I signed up for it, and I just went.
So like a total whim, like impulse. Wow, that's insane to me. That's so cool. Who was your Improv 101 teacher?
Bobby Lang.
Okay.
Yeah.
Who is now in Las Vegas?
Yeah, I think so. Doing
totally screwing up the Swedish dynamic.
Oh.
Well, I mean, I love Swedish, and 2 of them are now on the West Coast, basically, and it's just...
Maybe everyone should just move out west.
No, back here. Philadelphia. Okay, so you do improv first.
So I did improv, and I'm just like everyone who drinks like the improv Kool-Aid and is like, "This is amazing." I was like, "I want to do more." So I look and see what FIT has, and they have Sketch 101. And so I sign up for that. When I'm done with Improv 101, I sign up to do Sketch the next session. And I'm like, you know what? I think I'm maybe better. I think I'm definitely better at Sketch. So you're
drinking the Kool-Aid of Improv until you hear the better Kool-Aid of Sketch and throw away this Improv Kool-Aid.
Yeah.
It's what I like to hear. Yeah.
Well, I think when I see really, really good improv, I'm like, oh, wow, that's so good.
Yeah.
And then I look at myself, and I'm like, you maybe won't ever get there.
Well, I mean, you could, but Sketch is more fun.
Yeah. So I, so then I just, I really like writing. Mm-hmm. That I learned from this.
Did you only do Sketch 101? Have you done 201 or?
I haven't done 201. Okay. No, so I've just done 101. And yeah, I like. I mean, obviously, with improv, you're in the moment and you're not controlling the outcomes, which is fun. But I also sort of like the process of developing a whole story arc. And working through it until maybe you get it as perfect as you
right.
can.
And having where improv, to me, there's no control over, like, there's at least with sketch, there's a bit of control, and like you're the creator, and this is your own little world. Right. And until you hand it off to the director or whatever, a little other tweaks happen, like, this is your control. This is your, like...
Right, I'm God.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what I've always loved about writing, too. So you
I also love the writer's room. Sorry.
Right. Okay. Well, I mean, we're going to back up first before we get to the writer's rooms. You take improv because you have a friend that says you're funny, and, like, there's a difference between the funny friend or the funny friend in a group and becoming a comedian on stage. But what were you into? What made you laugh growing up?
Right, yeah.
TV shows, movies.
Right. When I was really small, my best friend, I grew up in Iowa. I'm from Des Moines. There we go. That's funny.
No, it's really funny because we're recording this the day before I put out an episode where I make the joke, Iowa shouldn't be so picky. So it just makes me chuckle. Even though this episode will come out 5 or 6 weeks after that, but or 4 or whatever it is. But yeah.
My friend Reese claims that people from Iowa he's not from Iowa, he's from Massachusetts, but he's like, I think Iowa has a lot of funny people. When I read the New Yorker, Iowa is like really represented in the joke caption contest. Like disproportionately represented.
Well,
I don't know if that's true.
Not to slam Iowa, but what else is there, like, other than trying to make jokes? And, like, isn't Iowa like Des Moines and corn?
Right.
So what else is there?
I'm glad that you have such a positive outlook on it. That's a nice way. Actually, Halloween, so Beggar's Night in Des Moines, that's when you go out and you beg.
Beggar's Night.
Yeah, it's called Beggar's Night.
Instead of Halloween, or is this separate in addition?
It usually happens the Thursday night before Halloween. It's called Beggar's Night, and that's when you go out and you get candy. You go door to door and get candy.
Do you still do costumes?
Yeah, you do costumes, but people will only give you candy if you tell them a joke.
Okay.
So all the little kids have to show up there with a joke ready to go.
Okay.
And then after you say your jokes, you get candy.
But no Halloween.
No, there is still. It is Halloween. It's part of the Halloween tradition. It's just the night that the kids get candy is called Beggar's Night.
Okay.
I don't know why it's on a separate night.
I was going to say, so all right, what? So Iowa and Beggar's Night. Where were we going?
Oh, I can keep going on this.
All right, but what were you But what were you watching? What were you?
Oh, what was I watching? Right. So Aaron,
in Iowa,
Aaron Chenchar was my friend when I was really small, and for whatever reason, we were really into The Sound of Music and Young Frankenstein. I remember watching those over and over again, maybe in kindergarten and first grade. Sound of Music isn't that funny, but Young Frankenstein is.
Young Frankenstein's very funny, but did you understand it young?
Yeah, no, definitely not.
I was going to say, like, there's jokes that are funny at that age, that can be funny at that age, but, like,
yeah,
you're missing a lot.
Right. I mean, I think I found, like, Igor the funniest at that age, but I don't think I got... And now, I haven't actually watched it recently, but I should go back and watch it. There's probably a lot of sexual jokes that
I'm sure there is, because
get.
Terry Garr is, like sex pot it and all the way up, and
isn't she like rolls around in the hay and she goes, I'm rolling in the hay. Yeah, it was probably inappropriate.
It's been a while since I've seen that one too. So like,
but then I actually was really into cartoons. So obviously The Simpsons, but one of the first shows that I got super obsessed with was Home Movies.
Okay,
it's by Brendan Small.
I was about to say, I couldn't remember which one's the creator, because I know, like, there's a timeline of, like, Home Movies to Bob's Burgers, and
Archer?
I think C-Lab is in that, like, family of, like, creators and people.
And also, there was that one about Dr. Katz.
That squiggle vision style of animation.
Yeah.
So what was it about Home Movies that...
So I think the premise, what I really liked about Home Movies is that it's these little kids. So I think they're in 3rd grade, and it's called Home Movies because they make their own movies. But they deal with all these adult situations, but from a child's perspective. But they deal with it almost in a very sober way. So like in one episode, Jason becomes addicted to sugar, and so they have to stage an intervention. So it's these adult problems, right?
Just
but like mapped onto like children.
Yeah.
And then obviously John H. Benjamin is, you know, one of the major voice contributors in there. And at the time I didn't know who he was. Yeah. But I just knew, I was like, oh my God, Coach McGurk is so funny. You know, and Jason's so funny. And then it's right. The show's a little bit, I mean, it's relevant for this, right? Because these little kids are writing their own films. Yeah. So you see them too, even though it's not real, the kids like write their films and then make them in the process that they go through of like filming and, you know, getting everything done.
What's your introduction to sketch and improv? Like, what's the first shows that really?
Wow, so I lived in New York City for a while, and I definitely went to see improv there, like at UCB and the Magnet. I'm trying to remember what my first sketch show was, and
or even like televised, like.
Oh yeah, well, definitely SNL.
Yeah,
from very early on, or I mean, also just as a child on Nickelodeon, watching, what was that sketch show?
Which one? All That, or or I know, didn't Amanda Bynes have her own? Yeah,
right.
And then didn't Amanda Bynes have her own,
or
is that like,
had one too.
Or were you aged out at that point?
I think I didn't watch hers as much, but I definitely watched All That, and then Kenan and Kel.
Well, with All That, was there a specific sketch that you're particularly fond of, that you remember? With, you know.
We're like really pushing my memory. I don't have a particular sketch, but I do have a weird fan moment. There was one of the women on All That, or a girl, I guess. Her name was, I think, Lori Beth Denberg.
Something like that. Yeah, I know who you're talking about.
Okay, so I grew up in Iowa, as I've already mentioned, and we would take, like, for fun, trips to the Mall of America in Minneapolis. So this would be something that we thought was entertaining.
Right.
We'd like all get in a car. Someone's parents
How far is
it's like a 5-hour drive, 6 hours. So someone's mom would get like 6 or 7 kids in their minivan, and we'd drive to Minneapolis to go to Mall of America, and
like for like a weekend.
Yeah, maybe overnight.
Okay, because nothing sounds good yet. Like
no. In retrospect, it was not good, and I don't know, were the adults enjoying it? I don't know. So we show up at the Mall of America, and I imagine there's a Disney store, and we walk in. So this is in Minneapolis. We walk into the Disney store, and like Lori Beth Denberg is in there signing autographs.
Okay, so she's like, That's got to be like, I know the Mall of America is huge and it was a big thing when it opened and everything, but there has to be something to like, oh, I have to do this. Like, I have to go to Minnesota.
What if she's from Minnesota? Maybe she was really excited and she volunteered.
Then, you know, more power to her if that's the case. But I just like, Iowa sounds awful. You're not painting a good picture so far. Like,
oh, I mean, it's all right.
I just can't picture a 5-hour drive for the Mall of America. Like,
I spent so much of my childhood driving long distances.
Escaping the state of Iowa because there's nothing there. Oh my gosh, that's. I ask everybody, and you mentioned, you know, Saturday Night Live briefly, and who would be your favorite cast member all time? Saturday Night Live.
Right. So I really like Kristen Wiig.
Okay.
Just overall.
Is there a particular character or sketch or?
Yeah, I mean, Target Lady's really awesome. In general, I just think all of her characters are so compelling, and she's like so weird. The people that she does are so weird, and yeah, I mean, also maybe in some ways I sort of like relate to her more as an individual, and so that's like why she's someone who just like stands out to me. But I like it. I was actually just a couple days ago like watching some Norm Macdonald clips, and not from SNL, but just other shows and interviews he did. And I do remember when I was really young that I loved Norm Macdonald as the Weekend Update host.
Yeah.
Again, why were my parents letting me watch?
Well, because he was like when I started watching, he was my first update anchor. Like,
yeah, I
like
think
when I
mine
started watching,
too.
like, and then like immediately Colin Quinn took over like later that year or
Right.
something like that. So I do have a fondness for him, and I think his joke telling in that is completely different than everyone else has ever done it. Like,
Yeah.
and there's a chaos and an anarchy to what he's doing compared to everyone else. Like, yeah, I love Norm. And on clips of talk shows and stuff, he's like one of the best talk show guests you can have, just because you don't know what's going to happen, but it's going to be funny to me. Like,
Yeah.
I'm all for Norm Macdonald generally.
Yeah, I do. When I was watching this, I was like, oh yeah, I remember when I was little, I was really into Norm Macdonald.
And I think at the same time, like, it was right around the time of Bob Dole, and he played Bob Dole.
Oh yeah, and
like,
he played
in
Bob
that
Dole.
election, so
And
he was on a
he
lot.
always had his hand holding the pen.
So yeah, at 10 years old or whatever I was, my whole experience of Bob Dole is Norm Macdonald. Like,
Yeah.
So.
No, I remember being a little kid and like doing a Bob Dole impression, which was probably Norm Macdonald.
Yeah,
I'm Bob Dole. Vote for Bob
yeah,
Dole.
Yeah, you're doing an impression of an impression of an impression, basically. There's a sketch, and I mention all the time, and I don't know why it's not online. I'm sure it's some music copyright garbage. There's a sketch where Bob Dole moves into the real world house. It's one of the funniest things in my it's the funniest thing I've ever seen. It's so great where like it's I wish it was online, because there's like it's like 3 segments through the show.
Yeah.
And it's fantastic.
Oh,
and
it's so good now to go back and find those sketches, because it's like someone's VHS recording that
yeah, and I know it's one of those
onto YouTube.
like, and I'm sure it's one of those sketches that like Saturday Night Live takes down all the time. Like, whenever one pops up on YouTube, it immediately gets taken down for like copyright claim or something. Like,
Yeah.
because NBC's like a hawk in that scenario. All right, so you live in New York and you see shows at UCB and stuff. Like,
Yeah.
do you remember seeing anything cool or any of the superstars that have come out of UCB in that time?
No, I didn't. I didn't actually see anyone who. I mean, I saw people who now I like recognize as sort of like side characters or actors or something on TV shows, but
Right.
I didn't happen to see any of like the really big name people. I think though, like, if you know, I mean, I guess if the bigger question is sort of like, how did I get inspired, or like why was I inspired to?
Well,
did
like,
something inspire me to pursue
I mean,
comedy?
Even like living in New York, how do you find out about UCB and going to shows there? Like, is it just because you like are into comedy and you were?
I first saw some shows at the Magnet, and it was because I had a friend who had a friend who was producing shows there.
Okay.
And so I went to go and see some of his shows. But honestly, at the time, I don't even really think I understood what was going on.
Right.
Like, I didn't understand. Like, I only had the vaguest concept of what improv was.
Sure.
And then what I was also seeing, I know now it was like sort of a variety show, actually. And so, and I didn't understand that it was like that there were students and people putting this on. I'm not sure that I knew what was going on. I knew I liked it.
I was about to say, like, was it basically just like a cheap night out, cheap entertainment that night for you? Like,
yeah. So I don't have like a great story of like, oh, this one time I met
like
Fred Armisen.
Yeah, you didn't have a random Aziz
inspired me.
Ansari moment.
Yeah.
All right, so you come to Philly after, I mean, you're pretty well traveled. Iowa to Boston to New York City, or vice versa.
There's a few other in between there too.
My goodness. And now you're settled in Philly, and you basically start doing Improv 101 as a total impulse, which I can't get over. That's a fantastic story to me. Like, yeah, okay, click. 2 hours run down there. Like,
Yeah.
That's bonkers. Okay, so you do Improv 101, you do Sketch 101. Where does Cups and a Half start off?
So Cups and a Half, then the next September, Alyssa Truskowski sort of posts that she wants to have like a sketch meeting for women who are interested in doing sketch. And it was just supposed to be like a meetup.
Sure.
To like sort of get together
and now that you mentioned this, my interview with Alyssa, like bits and pieces that are coming back to me. So
yeah,
we're gonna get your perspective now. Like,
and what's funny is that I told you I did a makeup class with Brian Kelly, and Alyssa was in that class, and so we went around and we read sketches, and I think I read this sketch, and she read a sketch. She brought a sketch that was about a person who gets new glasses, and then they realize they couldn't see that well before, and now that they have new glasses, they realize that they're like living with like ghosts and vampires and just all these like haunted specters and stuff, and it was really funny. And I remember at the time being like, I have like a sketch crush on you. Like, I want to work with you. And so then she put out this notice, let's all meet up and talk about sketch. And I was like, I'm definitely doing that. And so we showed up, and basically there were 5 people who showed up, and we just decided to stick with it.
5 of you go. Okay.
Yeah, we met at Rogues, and we
kept
going.
Was that the one where Courtney and Jolie showed up? Like, yeah,
so they came to sort of give us like tips.
Courtney and Jolie from Jortney and Coley. Like.
They showed up to give us tips, and then now Jolie's our director. Yeah. Okay,
so Cups and a Half, the 5 of you just randomly answer Alyssa's personal ad on Facebook. I don't know if it was in Improveries.
It was in Improveries, yeah.
I figured. So Cups and a Half, the first show, what's that experience like putting on that first?
The first show?
Yeah, your first... were you doing? Have you done anything on stage prior to?
Well, I had done improv shows, and I, had some stage experience as a child.
Right.
Very limited.
Sure.
So, but no, I had never done like the full production of it. So we get together. We don't have a show date yet or anything, and we just decide in one of our next meetings we're all, everyone bring 10 pitches or whatever. So we come, and there are 5 of us, all of us bring a bunch of pitches, and we start going through them. And, sort of, I guess, serendipitously, all of us brought all these really like dark, morbid pitches, like all these concepts and premises.
Yep, because that's a thing. That's a thing I've noticed from the bit of Cups and a Half I've seen so far.
And so we were like, oh man, this is like kind of nice, because we didn't even plan a theme or anything, and it all sort of like worked.
You magically had a voice already, like with that first pitch session, which is really kind of lucky. Like,
it was like apocalypse oriented sort of. So we started, so then that was maybe in November, and we started working with Jolie after that, but not long after we'd done that pitch session. And then, she was running the look at Good. Right. So she said, oh, you guys should do the look in January. And we were like, okay.
Right. Because that's the first time I heard of it, because I remember, seeing the posting for that look, and I was like, what is Cups and a Half? I don't know what that is. Yeah. And And then your names were listed. I was like, I don't know any of those people. Like,
right.
And
Noobs.
that wave of like, I don't know who these are. Who are these people? Oh, there's new people. Yeah. Like that excitement of like, oh, there's actually a new group coming. Yay. Hooray. Yeah. Because there was a while where it didn't feel like anything was happening.
Right. New blood.
So yeah, like new blood. Awesome. So Cups and Half, I'm assuming that's like a 15-minute, like, if that.
Yeah, that was like a 15-minute set.
And then you do a full set at PHIT. Was it PHIT first? I think it probably would have been PHIT first.
Our full set might have actually been at the Tree House.
Oh, right. You might have, yeah.
Because I think at PHIT we still might have done 15 minutes. I can't remember.
Well, I know the first time I saw you guys was at PHIT.
Was it PHIT? Okay.
Yeah. You and Alyssa get submit and get picked for Fezziwig. I always have this question and this curiosity, and it's such a new experience for you for the most part, of working with the same people on different projects.
Yeah.
So what is it like working within the five-some of Cups and a Half versus the bigger group of Fezziwig with someone that you overlap with?
Right. Well, one thing I've started doing is keeping like separate pitch lists.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think it would, there's not like, I guess, an explicit rule. Like if you pitch something somewhere and it doesn't take, maybe you can take it and pitch it the other place. But I keep separate lists for things in a broad sense that I think might thematically fit more with Fezziwig, or something that thematically might fit more, with Cups. And with Cups, we tend to pursue things that, if they aren't like explicitly feminist, have a feminist slant to them. Right. And
there's certain things with being an all-female group and having a male perspective in Fezziwig where you're like, oh, there's something with guys in it. And like, there's not a difference between like, Cups and a Half can wear drag. And I believe there are a couple sketches where you like.
There might be some coming up.
But like, it might be better if Ian or Patrick or someone else plays this role versus me in a baseball cap, or you in a baseball cap, I should say. So I'm not confusing. Like,
yeah, I mean, so that also brings up another point, which is just having actors, and I think that they did an excellent job casting the actors. And the first time Fezziwig, when we were, we'd been in the writer's room for a few months before the actors came in. Yeah. And so we'd been reading each other's sketches just around the table. And then the actors came in and did it. And I was like, wow, you make my sketches better.
there's a completely different sound here. Like, yeah.
So that's also, that's, but I don't mean that like, oh, for Cups we can't act or something. Right. But it's just suddenly you have more resources, right, at your hands. Where you're like, oh, like maybe there's a particular person who's very good at playing a certain type of character, playing this role, and so then they'll get cast that way. And one thing that we've dealt with in Cups is, I mean, all of us have learned so many of each other's parts because there's been shows. There's always one person missing.
Sketchfest. You were down someone.
Yes, Sketchfest. Susanna wasn't there.
I was trying to remember which of who I don't know, like of people I haven't completely been introduced to. I was like, I was trying to picture like that one's gone, like that one was missing. Yeah.
So I think we've only done like maybe 1 or 2 shows where everyone was there, and so then otherwise it's just like rotating. So it's kind of nice because you get to like learn each of the sketches.
But a lot of groups do that. Secret Pants in their last show, they redid a sketch with 2 different people. So that's not a completely unorthodox or out of the ordinary situation. So that's fine.
But then with Fezziwig, you have your 4-show run.
You have
and like for the most part,
and you're so like planned out, prepared. Like we've known since your last show that you were coming up again in August. So
we'll plan for whether you're there. So you knew.
Don't take your vacation that week. Don't screw us over that time. So what's the experience of Fezziwig with the bigger writing room versus the and I don't want to say integrated. Integrated is such an odd term, but like, what is the difference for you from writing in that feminist perspective of Cups versus maybe not so feminist. It's going to be somewhat feminist.
Yeah.
Because I'm pretty sure most of the people on Fezziwig are decent human beings. But it is a different take.
All of my sketches are pro-patriarchy for Fezziwig.
Yeah, like completely different voice, completely like chameleon yourself to different voices. So what's the experience of writing in a bigger writer's room?
Well, I really love being in the writer's room. Just the creative collaborative process of people riffing off of each other. And sometimes, I'm sure other people have said this, or maybe not. I can feel stuck, and then I go in there and just joking around with people, or someone will have some kernel of an idea, and then all together we're like cracking up over it, and it grows into something else. And I really like that. It is interesting. I think when I was just thinking about this when you brought up like my stuff, like our stuff would still be feminist because people in Fezziwig are good people. But my sketches that I write for Cups tend not to have men in them, and the sketches that I write for Fezziwig, not explicitly, but they all have men in them. So maybe I guess I'm just being influenced by who's on the cast.
Yeah, because I'm trying to remember. I think it was Aubrey Williams. When I talked to her, she had mentioned that she had been working with Manny Petty, another all-female group, and then she got, into the writer's room of Goat Rodeo, and she mentioned that Sam Russell was disappointed. We're like, where's the same voice from Manny Petty? Like, you can do this. Like, we can do feminist stuff here too. Like, you can write a sketch for all females in Goat Rodeo. We have girls here too. Like. But then, okay, so you're relatively new, about a year and a half or so in the scene, depending on when we count from the start of improv or sketch or whatever. Why do you do it? Other than that impulse of being the funny friend and jumping in and.
Well, I actually think for a long time, I have secretly or not so secretly really wanted to pursue a creative career. And when I was younger, actually, what I wanted to be was a graphic novelist.
Okay.
And that was partially why I was really into cartoons. And then as I got older, what I really like doing is storytelling. And I never did it in sort of like in an official way, but if you would spend time with me, I think most of my friends would say I have a lot of stories, and they go on and on and on and on. And
I was going to make another dig at Iowa again, but
I have so many Iowa
I've already
stories.
slagged off Iowa so much tonight.
So I wanted to do. So I've really always enjoyed storytelling, and comedic storytelling, but I guess I always felt like, I don't know, there's not a path forward there, or that I should be focusing on sort of a more conventional career path. And then you get into it, and then you realize, but this isn't satisfying. And I think for a long time I was always afraid to pursue creative things because I thought, other people are artists. I'm not. I'm not an artist. I'm not a creator. And then, I just took the leap. I also am very comfortable with public speaking, and that's something that in my education and in my career, my current career path, I've done a bit of, so I feel comfortable being in front of people and talking. So I think in some ways that has helped me here, because I feel I'm comfortable to go up on stage and be like, look at me. I'm important. Which is,
I'm not totally there. Even though I've never been a huge stage person. And then what's something that you've learned from comedy that you'd pass on, either practical advice or something existential that comedy has taught you in the past couple years?
Right. So, man, the existential stuff. There's so much of it.
I mean, like, go for it. Like,
well, in terms of the practical stuff, I would say just do it. Like, I mean, for me, that was a big barrier for a long time, was for whatever reason I had these artificial roadblocks in my head. It's like, this isn't something I can do. I'm not the sort of person who's, like, good enough or capable enough to do this. But, I mean, the people who are successful at this, the one thing they have in common is that they tried.
Yeah.
So try it. Just you know, put it down on paper, whatever your idea is. I can't remember who told me this, but I still sometimes get nervous when my first draft of a sketch, I'm like, I don't know about this. This doesn't seem that good. And I can't remember who, I don't know if it was Jolie or someone had told Jolie this, or this was from Alyssa, but it was just, your first draft is going to be awful.
Yeah.
So if you accept that, then there's no pressure. Just do your first draft.
Yeah. It'll
probably suck, but that's okay. That's how it comes out, and then you make it better.
Yeah, as long as, like, there's a lot of times where I've written a first draft where it's drastically awful, but it has the framework I kind of want, like, or at least the like an idea of the story I want to tell with it, like, where I'm like, all right, this is garbage, fix this, like, let's go, come on, like,
yeah.
And that's what writers' rooms are for, generally, is to fix good ideas into better ideas and polish and get all that stuff together. So
yeah, once you have something to react to, then you can refine it, then you can improve it. But you know, if there's nothing there, you have nothing to react to, there's nothing to work with.
Yeah, there's a big difference with, like, going into a room like, I think there's this dude who wants to do this and he's kind of funny, and then having a 4-page thing and being like, all right, this is fix it. Like, it makes it a lot easier when you have 4 pages to work with and play with, and instead of just that weird sentence of a pitch that isn't fully there yet. All right. Did I miss anything? Can you think of anything that...
No.
All right.
Have you ever been to Iowa?
Oh, no, I've only flown over it.
Ugh, classic.
Because even when you first brought it up, I actually pictured it on the wrong side of Illinois. Like, I thought it was east.
Did you think it was Ohio?
I thought it was east of Illinois, and then I was like, and then you mentioned, like, Minnesota, and I was like, wait, and I could see that, and then I could see that the you know, that border between Iowa and Illinois, like that bubble and everything. I was like, oh, all right, that's where it is. Oh, that's even worse. Like, like, yeah, screw Iowa.
Oh,
thanks, Alexis. Alexis can be seen next as Fezziwig presents Good Clean Fun at Philly Improv Theater over 2 weeks, August 10th and 11th, and 17th and 18th. All those shows start at 8:30, and tickets are available at fitcomedy.com. Alexis was also just cast in one of FIT's new house teams for Improv, and they will debut September 6th, a Wednesday night. Cups and a Half heads to New York City to participate in She Makes Me Laugh Femme Fest 2017 at the People's Improv Theater on September 16th. And finally, she will be in a Fringe Festival show, Wild, a Clown Western, over the last 2 weekends in September. My First Sketch is a Philly Sketchfest production. You can find out more information at phillysketchfest.com or on Twitter at PHLSketchfest. Also, for more information about comedy in Philly, head to watercooler.com. The music on this episode is by the band Nono, which you can check out at nonoband.bandcamp.com. Like My First Sketch on Facebook, follow me on Twitter. This is Josh Hyam. Thanks for listening. Go see some comedy.